All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening to Through the Garden or watching if you're on the YouTube. Let's see. Today is Pi Day. Happy Pi Day, boys.
Happy
March
Pie Day.
14th,
I just had some
2024.
pie.
Ooh, what kind?
Cherry, good old classic American cherry. It's
Can't
like
go wrong.
that. Yeah, and that and apple are like the staples of American pie. So you gotta
Oh,
like
yeah. Can't go
Yeah.
wrong.
it. Mm-hmm.
No, you can't go wrong with it. Well, congratulations on that. I have not had pie today. I did order Chinese food.
Ooh,
Ooh,
good
How
stuff.
good
about that?
decision.
Good
How about
stuff.
that? All right. So that segment's over. We have plenty to talk about. You guys are going to talk about the Bears because I've retired. Cubs, Sox, Bulls, Hawks. Everybody's done something kind of important with themselves this week. So we have plenty of things to talk about. And I'm excited for our YouTube page. Look at us looking at each
Yeah,
other. People
branching
can
out.
see us people can see us looking at each other. So if you're listening to the podcast version of this, we are on YouTube now, so you can watch it on the YouTubes if you'd like to. We're also broadcasting on Twitter and Facebook. So hopefully people will pop in the comments. And if you don't this week, then we'll count on seeing you next week. So yeah. So let's get into it. Bears, boys, Bears. Lots
There
of
we
stuff
go.
happening in Bearstown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but not the major thing.
Not the major thing. I just gonna point out that, ever since Justin Fields said that he would take LeBron over Michael, his trade stock has gone down a little bit. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
and
what it is. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
not the $30 million 50-year option that would be attached to any team trading
yeah,
for him. It's the
yeah,
LeBron versus MJ debate.
right, yeah. Well, Mr. Bear Goggles on you. You usually take the reins when it comes to the Bear stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this whole offseason, I've maintained follow the simplest solution. If you look at Ryan Poles' background, he always wants to make sure that he's comfortable with the medical and he's comfortable with the person. Next week is when he can check both of those boxes off for Caleb Williams. When he has his pro day, he'll probably be at Hallis Hall in the days after that. Assuming there's no more roller coaster aspect to this, those are probably the final two boxes to be checked. And then he'll probably prioritize a trade of Justin Fields. You can debate whether or not that was a right move, considering Fields' trade value has shrunk to just about nothing now. But I think at the end of the day, that's truly what the delay is Poles just wanting to check every box with Williams.
Well, it kind of follows what he does and the way he's approached things. And, I'll never forget when Ryan Poles had his first off season. Remember the Larry Ogunjobi thing
Right.
that it looked like a great signing and then it fell through with the medicals. And, that was clearly tough for Ryan Poles. I think I read somewhere he actually like called and apologized to Larry
Yeah.
Ogunjobi. So that's just kind of the guy he is. But I mean, there is this reality that the Fields market is pretty small right now, and we've seen other teams jump at these quarterbacks. I think we also all knew that a lot of this quarterback controversy was going to hinge on Kirk Cousins and the controversy of where Justin Fields fits best. Well, we talked about the Falcons for a long time. Well, guess what? They have Kirk Cousins now. And then you saw Baker Mayfield. He's going back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No surprise. Russell Wilson going to the Steelers. That was an interesting move. But you look at everything else and you say, okay, where there's still possibly openings. I said the Seahawks were a dark horse, but they just traded for Sam Howell. I would not be surprised if we see like Denver go after somebody like Fields. They don't have anybody right now. And
Right.
could New York, could the Giants? I think they're a dark horse too. So I think the market is very small. I just don't think it's gone. Are we going to be looking at great compensation? I'm a little skeptical on that, but I think if the plan truly is Caleb Williams, right now you're just trying to get any value you can for Justin Fields rather than just flat out cutting him. Again, if he is indeed the play here, but I think that's kind of where they're leaning.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy because look at all these quarterbacks people are choosing over Justin Fields. Sam Howell, Gardner Minshew, like all these guys. Joe Flacco goes to Indianapolis. Um, Mac Jones is going to be the backup in Jacksonville, which, by the way, New England is my dark horse. I still think that they would take Justin Fields and take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3 in the draft.
I could see, I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
especially because
New York. Sorry, go ahead, Jordan.
Oh no, so especially because New England, they put a big pursuit in Calvin Ridley and missed on him, so they're still looking for that wide receiver to add. So yeah, that could definitely be an option.
And New England seems like the place that Justin would go to, and then he would just thrive there, just for whatever reason, just thrive. You'd have Marvin Harrison Jr. went to the same college, like it's just all the stars would kind of align over there. But yeah, the Giants, they're probably the public favorite, I would assume, to land him. But that's me. I don't talk
honestly,
about
today, especially today, there's been a shift. A lot of people are pointing towards the Eagles being the team to watch. They just lost Gardner to Vegas. They think that Fields could potentially go there, back up Jalen Hurts, and then potentially be in a position to cash in next offseason as a free agent.
Yes, yeah. K-Fids is driving in, and we will get to the Cubs stuff, K-Fids. Don't worry. Don't worry. Go ahead, Alex.
It's much more brighter when we get to the Cubs stuff. I was just, one of the things I was going to point out too was people sometimes bring up the Commanders. I think they're just going out and drafting somebody. I don't see the Commanders making a trade. I think they want to keep as many, draft picks as possible. So, again, anything can happen, but I'm not really looking at the Commanders as one of the stronger possibilities. And I also feel like, I think Las Vegas, they seemed like a favorite for a while, and then they really dipped when they got Gardner Minshew. I think their chances are small for a Fields play as well, but I don't think it's zero. I mean, because there's a tiny sliver there. It's the Raiders. You never know.
But also, I thought things went so south with Luke Getsy and Justin Fields. Like, why would Luke Getsy, like, it seems like Getsy was blaming on Fields not being able to throw the ball down the field. So that's why he had to do screens. And Justin Fields was at one point talking about coaching, holding him back. Like, why would they fit well with each other again? That's just crazy.
Well, here's the thing. As is the case with this Caleb Williams versus Justin Fields debate, Bears fans are kind of projecting their opinions as facts in the situation. Yeah. Luke Getsy and Justin Fields actually really like each other and actually have a good working relationship. It's just because of how bad things went that fans just immediately thought, oh, well, these two can't work together. And I think with the Fields coaching comment, I think that was more so like a broader sense of what's going on with the team than it was a direct shot at Getsy. Sure. Having said all that, having defended the relationship, I still just don't think Vegas is too much of an option, especially after the money they gave Minshew. They'll be in a position to potentially grab one of the 3 quarterbacks at the bottom of the first round, whether it's Penix, whether it's Bo Nix, whether it's JJ McCarthy. I don't think Fields is a realistic option though.
Yeah. So, like you said, when the pro day happens, I'm sure after they get for sure with Caleb Williams, then everything's going to fall into place and somebody's going to take him. Of course, we're not going to get the first round pick that we were talking about with the Steelers, but
no, that was never realistic. That was nuts. That was nuts. And also, I think another thing to keep in mind too is people will look to the big reporters like Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter for information on what Justin Fields' future is going to be, who's been talking to who. But, I will say this about Ryan Poles. I think he's a very smart guy, and I don't think he's going to go out and show any of his cards. So everything that the reporters could know is they haven't done anything, but Ryan Poles has not shown his cards at all. So I think that you're just, until it happens, you're not going to get any real clues. I think that having a sense that Caleb Williams is going to be their guy is a good sense to have, but it's not like he came out and flat out said it, nor is he going to go show his cards saying, oh, hey, guess what? Justin Fields is going here, because they've been talking this guy, that, it's just, you're not going to get much information.
Right,
No,
yeah. It's
agreed.
yeah. And the less information that the city of Chicago gets, the more they're just gonna make up on their own to talk about stuff. So
Oh,
And
yeah,
people will mistake that as fact. People will take
it's
speculation from the media and take it as fact.
yeah,
yeah,
it's been insane. This past week, we've
yeah,
had everyone from Antonio Brown to a Bears blogger say what the Bears are going to do at the quarterback position. And if you're a fan of Justin Fields, you take that reporting and you treat it like it's church. If you're a fan of Caleb Williams, someone says the Bears are going to take Caleb Williams, you take that reporting, you take it as church. But to Alex's point, no one knows what's going to happen. So there's no
yeah.
need to get up and down about every little thing that comes out.
Yeah, yeah, which is why I put out a Twitter video the other day where I was like, I'll deal with it in August. Like
Yeah.
I got a Cubs
Yeah.
team to worry about. But we
Yeah.
should talk about the free agents. I did spoil it a little bit on the stream here because I'm playing with buttons like I said I wasn't gonna do.
This is our
But we
first
got
stream, folks. We gotta
that's right.
get the kicks
Yeah.
out.
That's right. We're trying it. But yeah, so we got DeAndre Swift coming over from the Eagles. We have a Swift. That means we
We do.
automatically get Taylor.
We're ready for it.
Yep. Ready for it.
Take
And
that,
then
Chiefs.
take that, yeah. And then I'll give $5 to whoever wants to try to say this. That one?
No.
Great.
Nah, I'm good.
Great. And then we got our center. We got a center, boys. How about it?
An actual center.
Yeah.
Step
So
up from where they were last season.
yeah. So
I
there's
ain't
a couple
saying
other
much, but yeah.
yeah, there's a couple other ones that they got. But those are the three that are on the website now. So yeah, they did a little bit. This is the one that I would like to talk about because
Mm-hmm.
not only do we
That
get
was a
this
fun
guy,
one.
we get his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Simone Biles is part of the Chicago Bears now. And I think we have a civic duty to take care of to make sure that she is welcomed on the north side of Chicago as a Cubs fan and doesn't go down south.
Oh, 100%.
After she eats her pizza and her hot dogs, as she
Right.
made that
Yeah.
very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's embracing Chicago already. It's great.
Yeah. Did you see? She was like, I don't have to go through a layover to see my husband play football anymore. So
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
she
Isn't
already
that
loves.
nice?
She already loves Chicago. It's great.
Oh,
It is
great
great.
place to be.
Yeah.
And it's a nice
Yeah.
signing. You know, you get a legitimate tight end. And I think that when you look at this crop of signings, do I kind of wish they did a bit more on the defensive front? Frankly, yeah. But you know, I think Swift is a nice pickup.
Yeah.
Good shifty running back. He's not really a power guy, he's more the shifty guy. I think that
Right.
he's also a dual threat. He's good to throw to as well. So you have a nice balance there. I think him being kind of your top running back, like, listen, you don't have a core that's going to be like, wow, blow you out of the water. But if they can run block again, because they run blocked fairly well last year, and you add
Yep.
Swift, who's shiftier, you can use him as a target. Because I like Khalil Herbert, but you saw last year after that injury, it took him a bit of time to get that
Yeah.
extra step just
Yeah.
wasn't
It
there.
was slow. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
Roshan Johnson, I think he's a third back. I think
I
that's
think
where
so.
we are.
I
So
think he's
you needed
comfortable
to
with
add
that too.
somebody. I think
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
too. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. I just don't think we can elevate him to, higher expectations than we need to. Is DeAndre Swift going to be the number one running back in the NFL? No, but if he has a
He's
season
gonna,
like he
but
had
he's
last year
gonna
with the
give you,
Eagles,
yeah,
yeah,
he's gonna give you 7 or 8 yards when he was only supposed to get 2
yeah,
every now and then. Like he's big and bulky, but he's fast. So
yep.
he's very swift on
And
his
you
feet.
know what I never understand? Bears fans are always talking about the Bears spending money as if it's their money to spend. So when the Swift contract broke, everyone's like, "Oh my God, that's too much money for a running back."
Well, yeah,
When
I mean that's
these,
Chicago.
but
It's like, why
here's the
don't you spend
thing:
any money, and then why are you spending all
yeah,
this money?
the Bears had the cap space to make that type of deal, and let's say we are moving forward in the season with Justin Fields as our starting quarterback. The biggest piece of that is that we wanted to add playmakers to support Justin Fields. They did that with the very first signing they did. So to be
Yeah,
hypocritical in the sense that, hey, let's build a team like the Eagles. Let's build a team like the 49ers. We literally grabbed the Eagles running back and people were like, what are you doing? Yeah.
yeah.
So we
Well,
just
and
can't
Well,
have nice things.
to piggyback off that, the running back market went crazy
It
this
did.
year.
Yeah.
And, I've always been kind of the, hey, don't pay a running back, but you gave him 3 years, and the money you gave him compared to what the other running backs are getting paid, like you look at the actual market. I mean, look at how crazy this running back market went.
Yeah.
It makes the Swift deal look pretty solid. You know, you
Oh, yeah.
look at what Saquon Barkley got. You look at, Joe Mixon. There was the deal with Joe Mixon, and then among others, Green Bay, they signed a running back, and then the Packers let go of Aaron Jones, who went to the Vikings. So
That
there
was a
was a
fun day.
lot of movement with running backs. And I think the Swift deal is pretty reasonable. And the other thing, too, is that I was talking with some coworkers at work when the deal went down. When I'm looking at DeAndre Swift, I'm thinking, oh, okay, he's like what, 27, 28? He's only 25.
He's
It feels
25.
it feels like he should be a lot older. It feels like he's been in the league forever, but he's only 25. So you're pretty much locking him up for the rest of his prime years in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look who his quarterback's going to be.
Yeah.
All right. The Brett Ripon era has begun.
Yeah, every team needs, especially a team that brings in an offensive coordinator. You need that coach in practice. I'm sure that's just what Brett Ripien will represent.
Well, he's going to be the backup for Tyson Bagent. So,
of course,
QB3. He's the new Nathan Peterman, because Nathan Peterman went
signed
to
with
the Saints.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The Tank Commander is gone.
Saints. Yeah. Kevin Bedard out of Philadelphia got him. The defense. You extend Jalen Johnson, which, by the way, last week I said Jalen Johnson would get extended.
There you go. It was literally the day after the podcast.
And then I said Justin Fields would get traded, and we're still working on that. But I said Jalen Johnson. So there you go.
Hey,
1 out of 2 ain't bad.
1 out of 2 ain't bad. I think that's what Meatloaf said. All right. So now we've talked about the Bears on the field. Let's talk about where they're going to be playing on the field. This stadium stuff is crazy, man. This is just, it's getting out of control because now the Sox are involved, which we'll talk about the Sox side of things when we get to the Sox, but let's stick to the Bears. Excuse me. Let's stick to the Bears for a minute. So I'll just go ahead and give my opinion right now. They're going to Arlington. That's going to happen. They're going to Arlington. But now they say that their focus is staying in the city, building a new stadium next to where Soldier Field is now, tearing that down, but keeping the colonnades. I don't know where they're going to get all this parking and stuff. And neither do the people that say that they're looking to do this, because they had one guy on the radio this week and they asked him questions. He was like, so where are you going to put the parking? And he was like, yep, it's going to be great. Okay, but where are you going to, where are people going to park? What's traffic going to be like? Oh, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Literally the same things with the Sox in the 78. Literally that same issue.
Yeah.
Honestly, so it felt like Kevin Warren just kind of did a solid for Brandon Johnson without really telling, the front of the park in the city, or without telling Arlington Heights. And it's just like, let's go ahead and leak this and then have the announcement, when really it was nothing but facade.
It's like when
because
it's like when your parents took you to the grocery store and they were like, if you're good, I'll get you something, knowing that they're never going to get you anything.
Right.
Well, and the timing too was very interesting, because my immediate reaction in the morning was, oh, they fumbled Arlington Heights, blah, blah, blah. And listen, they might still end up not getting a deal, and they might end up doing this. I really don't know for sure, but it did make you think after a while, the timing of this leak. Going into the new week, it wasn't some Friday afternoon news dump. It was early in the morning at the very beginning of the week, when everybody would be waking up from their beds and seeing this, just like I did. So that does, make you raise a few eyebrows. And I think that Arlington Heights wants it. As in the government and the officials. I don't know about the citizens so much. But and I think the Bears still want to go to Arlington Heights, but they did not expect the property taxes to be quite as high as they end up being. So we'll see how this goes. I mean, it was never going to be easy, but I really thought when they purchased this land, which was what? It was 2021. Matt Nagy was still the head coach when they bought that Arlington Heights land. I would have thought by now we would know exactly what's going on, and we'd even start to see the groundbreaking ceremony by now, but that's not going to happen. But the Bears have the lease through Soldier Field to 2033. So it's not like the lease is up in 2 years.
Right. They still got some time.
And
I will say, actually, one thing I think the announcement did serve is the Bears want nothing to do with the White Sox plan.
Oh yeah.
The Bears announcement made that clear, saying that it was just their plan. But the fact that they also added in that they are going to invest $2 billion is just a complete push away from whatever it is the White Sox are trying to do, because the Bears do not want to be associated with that mess right now.
Yeah, and I will say Pritzker said that, like, great, you're going to put up 2 billion, but it's going to take way more than 2 billion for what you're trying to do.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just a mess, man. Like, it's just only the like once they bought the land in Arlington, it should have been done. Like, we're going to Arlington, sorry. Like, we have all this blank space out here where we can do whatever we want to it. And yes, sales tax is going to stink, or the property tax is going to stink, but look at all the revenue we're about to make.
Well, that's also sort of the problem, is we can't forget who orchestrated the Arlington Heights plan at first. That was Ted Phillips.
Yes, it was.
Ted Phillips is known to not maybe go through the best vetting processes. So I have no doubt that he, to your point, Tommy, saw the land, saw the opportunity, and was like, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm going to snap my fingers and we're going to do this. So that's why he announced the deal. And then Kevin Warren comes in and he's like, wait a minute. We don't know what we're paying.
We don't have a plan.
Taxes? Yeah.
No, that's what we hired you for.
Right.
It's the Spider-Man meme of like everybody pointing at each other.
Yeah, I mean, like, Ted saw that like a massive chocolate cake, so he dove for it and got it. And then it's like, okay, Warren, take care of the rest. And he's like, well, okay. I mean, because let's be real, that's why they hired Kevin Warren first and foremost, was to figure this part out, especially since he was the one that built the Vikings stadium, because he was the COO, I believe, of the Vikings when they built that stadium. So that was his doing there. So, that's what they're trying to do here. And I'm sure building in the Twin Cities is easier than building in Chicagoland. I really don't know, but that's just kind of my guess. Right. My other question too is, if they think that they are going to build on the lakefront by there, so you're going to build a stadium right next to the old one, how are you going to do that? You're going to, I would assume you're going to build it and then move as soon as it's done. You're not going to build it on the same spot. Because you're going to keep the colonnades. Because if you did that, you would have to place somewhere else. And that just, I don't know. Even if you built right next to it, my other co-host on Swirsky Sports jokingly said the other day, "Oh, you should build it where Miggs Field was." Like, yeah, let's have our new stadium on an island. That's a great idea.
Yeah, somebody said that they should just put it on the lake. Just build a platform on the lake and just have the Bears play out there.
Well, like a giant like oil drilling like rig in the middle of the ocean.
Except it's a football stadium. Everybody's got a ferry over. So you park like where Miggs Field was, and then you ferry to
the ferries are piloted by like Ed O'Bradovich and Richard Dent.
Yeah.
All right, get on the bus. Everyone shut up. That would be so Bears.
It's so well. This is already so Bears. Just the mess that it is. So.
Yeah.
You want to talk about something happy?
Yes.
The Chicago Cubs. I'm happy. Good. I'm happy. We have to deal with Jameson Taillon. Sorry,
James Italian.
Yes, I have an inside joke with a buddy I text with, or we call him James Italian. Jameson Taillon. Anyways. So he's hurt. Probably out for a month or so is the last thing I saw.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It looks like a month.
I wrote a blog this week about how everybody can just stop because they're not going to go pay Jordan Montgomery. They're not going to pay Blake Snell. They might go pay Michael Lorenzen. Like here's like 9-10 million to come in.
White Sox.
I think that more so now than I did when I wrote the blog, but they're not going to pay because they're going to be fine with Drew Smyly, Hayden Wesneski, Javier Assad, all these guys. Like they're just going to take turns until Taillon is back. If they were the Yankees and they wanted to like shove it down people's throat, they would go do this, but they don't want to be
even the Yankees aren't doing it. If you take a look at like what all this
Well, they
concern
should.
is
Yeah,
with,
they're.
yeah,
Yeah,
all
there
the
is. There
concern
is.
is with Garrett Cole, and then Marcus Stroman came out today and was like, "Nope, I'm not the opening day starter." It doesn't seem like it's gonna be Carlos Rodon, and yet you have Blake Snell, you have Jordan Montgomery out there, and the Yankees still aren't, meeting the asking price.
Wouldn't it be a
And,
dream if they just got a 1-year deal with the Cubs, Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell?
and that's what
It would be awesome. It would be great, but they're not going to do it.
Well, here I wouldn't say it's a not. I wouldn't say it's a 0% chance. I will say
0.1.
0.1, especially for Montgomery. I do think the closer we get to the season, even if we get into the season, I think that's where the Cubs might circle back around and be like, "Hey, we're now at the start of the regular season. Let's get you in here for one season. Let's have you ramp up for a month, then have you be that top of the rotation pitcher we need."
But by the time Montgomery or Snell is ready, Tyone's probably back.
Well, here's the thing. Even with Tyone being back, the Cubs have a very bad postseason rotation as is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So Montgomery
I would
is
say, yeah.
Montgomery is needed regardless of the health of Jameson Taillon. But I will say, to your overall point of the Cubs liking their pitching depth, I think that's why you guys didn't see the Cubs go after Dylan Cease, because that would have required the Cubs to give up a Ben Brown. That would have required the Cubs to give up a Jordan Wicks. And the Cubs don't want to do that right now because
And I'm okay with that.
Same.
Yeah, right,
I wrote about that for Cubbies Fib. I am perfectly fine with the Cubs sitting this one out because if you look at what the Cubs need, like I was mentioning, they need that mercenary at the top of the rotation for one season. But in terms of the 5-year outlook of their rotation, it looks pretty strong with Cade Horton, with Brent Brown, with Jordan Wicks. So,
that's a good point.
Yeah,
this is a great question on YouTube. How late is too late for those guys? It's never too late, but it's too late now to be ready for opening day.
If we're talking about opening day, it's already too late because usually a pitcher needs
about a month,
probably a month. So
yeah,
say either one of them comes into camp within the next week. We're probably looking at them making their season debut by the end of April, if not that first week in May.
Yeah, that's what I would think too. I would would love for them to do it. Would love for them to say, you know what, 1 year, Jordan Montgomery, because I'm with you guys. That's what I want, and I get the science behind doing that too with the 1-year deal of like, look, we need you for a year, blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera. They're not going to do it. There's a better chance of another guy who is a free agent next year, who we might trade for this year to come to Chicago, than it is for us signing Jordan Montgomery.
He's talking about Pete Alonso?
I'm talking about Pete Alonso.
No, I thought you were talking about a pitcher.
No, I'm talking about. I'm gonna say there's a better chance of the Cubs ending up with Pete Alonso than signing Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell, and I have reasoning, but I'm telling you that's how low the chances are of them getting Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell.
No, I mean that's fair. I honestly I wouldn't put either past 5%.
Right? Yeah, Pete Alonso. The percentage is not high, but there is a better statistical percentage that they would do that than sign Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah.
I did. Yeah, I wrote a blog today just about Pete Alonso, just to kind of keep it going a little bit, But if you think about it, Michael Busch is the first baseman now. Like that is the path that he has been set forth. Go for it. Be free. You are the first baseman.
Yeah.
Let's say Cody Bellinger has a great year and thinks he can go get more than 30 million somewhere else. Pete Crow Armstrong's coming up. He takes center field. We still have problems at third base. Michael Busch slides over to third. Pete Alonso at first.
But
again, this is like less than 5% chance of happening.
We're thinking way ahead here.
I know. I will say I do love the start of the regular season because that's normally when it gets floated out there that the Cubs are going to be in on like a big name free agent in the offseason.
And then we talk lose about 12 in a row and sell everybody.
Well, it's not even that. We talk about it all throughout the season about like, keep an eye on Alonso this winter. The winter comes around.
See, look what I've done. Look what I've done. I'm talking about signing him. I'm not talking about trading for him. But if you're
Yeah, I
going to trade,
mean, I know the Mets in previous conversations this offseason wanted Christopher Morel. The Cubs balked at that because the Cubs really do value Morel.
They're very high on him, yeah.
Yeah, and I think if the Cubs were to ever be in position where they were going to trade Morel, it wouldn't be for a rental bet in Alonso.
right?
Well,
Yeah,
and they would need
because he is
solid-
again. Pete Alonso is a free agent at the end of this year,
Right.
so if
and
they
they
were
would
to
need a
trade for him,
solidified solution at third too.
yeah,
Yeah.
because Michael Bush
Yeah.
wouldn't be a solidified option there.
No,
You know,
goodness,
you know
no.
who
no,
is?
no.
You know who might be one day? You have to Shaw it, Matt Shaw.
I think that's a third baseman by September.
Which I do feel fairly confident in. It's just right now we can't say anything for sure.
Oh, right.
Obviously.
Yeah. And to go back to the question in terms of like what prospects have to be included into the deal, if you look at the Mets, they need pitching. So
They need
Yeah.
pitching so bad.
it
Yes.
starts with one of Wicks,
Ben Brown.
Horton, or Ben Brown. And again, I think that's where the Cubs will once again say no because they
Right.
like the 5-year outlook of their pitching staff and they
Right.
don't want to give up those
Yeah.
prospects.
Again, this is all less than 5% chance of happening.
But it's fun. This is, like I said,
But
this
it's
is what
fun,
we do
yes.
at the start of each season. We pinpoint the free agent to be like that's a future Cub, and then the winter happens, and then it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah. I saw one of you talked about this on Twitter the other day, and it was a thought that I had in my head too, but I never like expressed it, so we can talk about it here. Ian Happ should kind of be the leadoff man and
Yeah.
not Nico Horner, because Nico Horner is up there trying to get contact, where Ian Happ will take his walks.
Right. Yeah, he gets on
Yeah.
base. And I think that Nico Horner's a good guy to have second because he can put the ball in play and move the runner along. Obviously, you want to avoid double plays. He doesn't slug much, but if Ian Happ gets on and then Nico Horner shoots the ball the other way, then you're in business right there. So I do kind of
Sure.
agree with that. Obviously, Ian Happ is injured right now. Hopefully, he'll be ready for opening day, but that's kind of how I would approach it right now. And I do feel like whatever decision Craig Counsell moves, there'll be good justification behind it. There'll be good
Oh, yeah.
reasoning behind it. Because we're still in that position where we haven't had a traditional leadoff man since Dexter Fowler.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Yep,
I think Ian
and-
Happ would be great at batting first, but you know who my prospect is for batting second, and he did it today. Seiya Suzuki.
Yeah.
He can give you the slug of the second hole, of the two hole, you
Yes.
know?
A la
Yeah, I
Ryan
saw you-
Sandberg.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw your tweet. I was a big fan of that. And
Let me
honestly,
see if I can pull it up.
if it's the Seiya Suzuki we get from the second half of last season, you put him in the number 2 hole. In terms of Nico, I wouldn't hate it if he was actually in the 6th hole, because then you're guaranteed of having someone that can make contact in the middle of your lineup. Say Beljo gets on in the cleanup spot. Say you have either Morel or Swanson at 5th. You have another run creating opportunity with Horner at batting 6.
Yeah. So that was the lineup that I put out today. I did Happ, Suzuki, Horner, Bellinger, Swanson, Morel, Bush, Wisdom, Gomes. And that, by the way, Morel, DH, Wisdom, third base.
Yeah,
I
I
know.
mean, I'd put a run producer at third personally. I'd put Bellinger third, or
Okay. Yeah.
maybe Morel. I probably Bellinger more than anybody. I get what you're going with this because you could say, hey, if Happ and Suzuki get on, Horner can make contact, get the runner in. I do kind of like, though, the idea of Horner being down a little bit because he's not a power guy. He's not going to hit the ball out of the ballpark nearly as often. But Happ, Suzuki 1 and 2, I think that's very intriguing. And I would like to say this too. Suzuki has had a really nice spring. Really
He's
good
had a
spring so
lovely
far.
spring. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's had a
It's
great
been
spring.
fun watching this
The
one.
only thing about this lineup though, with Happ, Suzuki up top, and then Horner, like Horner is your best bet for stealing bases of those top 3.
Right.
So the base stealing game would be a little low, but I
But
mean,
how
if
valuable
if-
is that?
exactly, that was my next point. I was
Yeah.
gonna say, but if Happ's getting on and say I was bringing him in anyways, like who cares?
Right. Everyone
Yeah,
says coin.
I don't think it's the 1970s anymore.
It's not.
I'm not saying having a base stealer is bad because, late in the postseason, in a big spot, pinch running in a must-win situation is important. But like in a regular season starting lineup, I just don't think it has the same value as it had back then.
Right.
There's another player I want to bring up here. I wrote about him for Cubby's Crib last night. You guys, Jordan, I know you've seen this.
Yeah.
But Garrett Cooper, I don't think we talk enough about him. Came here as a non-roster invitee. He's the right-handed counter to Michael Bush's lefty. I think you could platoon a bit at first base. Garrett Cooper can hit, and he's a 7-year veteran. He's not much of a power guy, but he can hit. He's got a career average of 268 and a career on base of 337. 337 is well above average in terms of on base. I think the dude can hit, and he can hit both sides of the plate too. Like, he doesn't just hit lefties, he hits righties too. He's had a nice spring. He's had some good swings. I thought that was kind of a sneaky good move by the Cubs, and I would advocate for him being part of the roster right now. I really would.
Excuse me. Yeah, definitely part of the roster. I would definitely have him on the 26-man roster. Yeah, he's having a great spring too. He crushed that opposite field home run the other day. Did you see that?
That was beautiful. Yeah, that was beautiful. Good sound,
swing.
good swing. And opposite field, it went way out. It wasn't
it wasn't cheap.
Scrape the wall. Yeah, it was I think it was over the bullpen. So that was hit really hard. Very impressive swings. He hit another home run yesterday. I like the fact that he's on this non-roster squad because maybe he'll be added to the 40-man.
And honestly, I think we said it on a previous pod. Cooper has like that fit of like a Craig Counsell player that can just come in, gives you 15 and 20 home runs a season. And Alex, one thing that I was actually thinking about when I was like reviewing your article, I've heard nothing concrete, but the Cubs as an organization are leaning towards being out on Matt Mervis than they are him being any part of their plan. It sounds like when he last went to Iowa, the Cubs wanted him to work on an adjustment. Mervis wasn't really working on the adjustment to the point where they liked, and the Cubs just have some long-term concern there. So I wouldn't.
Well, we don't have a spot for him either. Like,
and that's awesome.
Right now, we really don't know.
Right now, we don't. So I think when Cooper came in, he automatically leapfrogged Mervis in terms of the first base options. And then, like I said, we can't just keep having guys like Miles Mastrobuoni come in and pinch hit spots, hoping they make contact. You want Garrett Cooper on your bench, someone that you know that if you're down one, you pinch hit him in the ninth. There's a pretty decent chance he could do some damage. So I think he has a great chance of being on the bench.
Well, it's nice too having a guy like Garrett Cooper like that, but then you also have Patrick Wisdom too, and they're kind of the same person. I'd give the favor a little bit to Garrett Cooper, but they're about the same person.
Well, Cooper is a much better hitter, and
that's what I'm saying. Like give the lean to Cooper, but
and honestly,
overall,
that's really the only issue I had with your lineup. I don't want Patrick Wisdom in
I don't either.
Lineup. Against lefties for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But as an everyday player, I think we saw last year when Wisdom was used as an everyday player, his numbers dove off a cliff after the first month of the season. And I think if we keep him in that spot to where he's only playing first base or he's only DHing against lefties, I think we're seeing he can be a very good player in that defined role without the pressure of being an everyday player.
He shouldn't be in there every day. No, you put him in the right situation. His raw power is insane. Like in terms of raw power, I think Schwarber is one of the only people that rival him. I mean, and that I'm not saying that Patrick Wisdom is better than in prime Chris Bryant or Anthony Rizzo or anything like that. I'm just talking about raw power, just the ability to hit the ball 1,000 feet.
Wisdom his walk off the other night.
That was a tank. Absolute tank.
And when he connects, it's such a beautiful sight to see because
it's like a cannon.
Yeah, like you said, the ball just travels. And fun fact, MLB The Show 24 coming out tomorrow for pre-release. Patrick Wisdom, a 99 power rating against left-handed pitchers.
Yep. Imagine if Patrick Wisdom stepped up against a soft-tossing lefty that he could take deep with a metal bat, a traditional metal bat.
Somebody would die.
Yeah,
it would still be traveling to this day.
There would be a casualty.
he would hit the
Patrick Wisdom.
buildings across
Patrick
the street.
Wisdom is really leaning into his role as just a guy who cranks on lefties a little bit, you
Oh,
know.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So
Do what
yeah.
you're good at.
Yep.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't want him I don't want him in the lineup either. I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of the manager of the Chicago Cubs and what they're
For
going to
sure.
do.
Well,
So.
you would have 9 David Bodys.
I would love David Bowie to be on the roster. I'm not gonna lie. All right, let's talk Sox. Is this a fleecing?
A fleecing? No.
No.
Was it a good
Because
trade?
the White
Yes.
Sox Twitter really wants it to be a fleecing.
It wasn't. It was a good trade. I mean, it was a trade they had to do, I think. And actually, I took issue. I was listening to the score today. It was characterized as the White Sox getting lottery tickets. That's not what happened. Lottery tickets was what the Cubs got back for you, Darvish. This is actual. You have 3 players within the Padres' top 10. You have a top 100 MLB prospect in terms of the package you got. It's not the best package you probably could have got for Cease. Honestly, I think that time passed at the start of this season. But if you look at where the White Sox were heading into last season, they weren't going to trade Cease. But it's a move they had to do. He was losing value the more he pitched for them. I don't hate it. I don't really love it. But I'm willing to see it out.
They had to do something. They had to
Yeah.
move him. Like they had no choice.
Yeah,
My question
I think
is,
it's a
what
pretty
are the
good trade.
Padres doing? What are the Padres doing?
No idea. Yeah. I
Like,
thought
Trade away
yeah.
Juan Soto, get Blake Snell gone, get Dylan Cease. Yeah.
like,
And
what are
that's
you
the thing.
doing? Are you
I
playing
thought-
to win? Or are you not? Like,
Yeah, and you know, the Padres are already in an uphill climb in the NL West, trying to catch up to the Diamondbacks. Definitely trying to catch up to the Dodgers. Like you said, they traded Juan Soto. It kind of seemed like they were going to take a step back. They still got massive contracts on that roster, but it just seems like with this deal, they're trying to salvage one more season out of a roster that we've seen doesn't play well together. So I
doesn't go
don't
well,
think
yeah.
there's going to be any different result, even with Cease being added, because if you look at what Cease was last year, yeah, he was an ace, but he was also an ace that needed work. So we'll see. I just don't see the Padres really stepping up to get on the same level as the Diamondbacks or Dodgers.
Yeah, I don't know how much this moves the needle. I think them getting another starter, it adds another legit starter in your rotation. I don't
Mhm.
think an ace type. I mean, Cease has ace type stuff, and he had a
Oh,
great
yeah.
year in 2022. But we've seen other years where the results have been okay. You know, the problem is he doesn't go deep into games, and there's some command issues. The pitch count is very high. It's like they got rid of Blake Snell to get Blake Snell 2.0 back, which
Right.
and I can understand the Padres saying, hey, we don't want to re-sign him because we don't want to pay him a bunch of money, but you're also paying in prospect capital too, although they didn't give up any of their top 3. But they
Right.
still gave up, 3 of their top 10. One is in the top 100, Thorpe, who I'm intrigued for the Sox. I think that's a very interesting piece. I think if you are going to talk in terms of lottery tickets, I think Zavala, he's only like, 18? He's got a lot of talent. I think he's got promise, but any 18-year-old is pretty much a lottery ticket at this point, where Thorpe, he's more polished. He's got experience under him. And I think that he's a very intriguing piece here that other teams do value. So I think the Sox did okay on this trade. Heck, I'd say they did pretty good. That's where I would say we won't truly know until, 25, 26, as in 2025, 2026. But I think in terms of return, I think it's pretty good for the Sox. Like you guys said, they had to make a move. They weren't going to ever pay Dylan Cease because Jerry Reinsdorf, we don't like paying pitchers. Shohei Ohtani, we're not going to be on Shohei Ohtani. I remember when I saw Jackie Robinson, David Eckstein's my favorite player. So you knew they weren't going to do that. But and the thing is, if you kept Dylan Cease for 2 years, so you're going to have Dylan Cease on a 90-plus loss team. Not going to do much for you.
No, yeah.
Well, now
You
the
yeah.
question is, what are they gonna do now? Because
Tank.
I don't. Well,
Tank,
yes, they're
yeah.
gonna tank, but they also have a couple really good players on their roster still.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Do you try to build
every
around Luis Robert?
Oh well,
honestly,
they were
Luis Robert
talking
could
today
be
on the radio that maybe they should just trade him and just start
I
completely
sure,
over.
sure.
they should because Luis Robert is just gonna be the next Tim Anderson for the White Sox. Great player when they were bad, but then once the White Sox turned good, we kind of saw the regression in TA. I don't think we're going to see that regression in Luis Robert. I think
Yeah.
Luis Robert
Well,
is a perennial
ES,
MVP
yeah,
candidate. So trade
If
him
he's
yeah,
now.
healthy.
Yeah, if
yeah,
he's
if he's
healthy.
healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, ESPN has him ranked number 23 on the
Yeah.
big board of MLB players.
You
Like,
know what could see happening though with the White Sox this year? I could absolutely see Eloy Jimenez just having the year of his life.
I hope so. I hope
That'd be
so.
fun. Yeah.
You
I've
know,
always liked Eloy. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
can't
Cease
hate
trade.
him.
Yeah, the Cease trade actually had me revisit that 2017 trade, which, by the way, Jose
everybody
Quintana.
lost.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, Jose Quintana, the Mets
Oh,
opening day starting pitcher this season. So that
tell
is
me
a trade
Pete
that
Alonso
yeah,
isn't going to be available at the deadline.
yeah,
Tell me.
that is a trade that keeps on giving. But yeah, I hope Lloyd it finally clicks for him this season because he's a fun player. He's good in the clubhouse, so it'd be really good to see him kind of reach that potential
Changed
as
his
an
stance a
offensive
little
player.
bit too, and he's really
Hmm.
raking in spring training. So
Right.
um so
Really?
you wonder
Yeah.
how's he gonna do? How's Moncada gonna do? Because he's in a contract year. He's had a good spring training. Is Andrew Vaughn going to take that next step? I mean, you gotta watch something this year if you're a Sox fan. You
Yeah.
gotta be keeping your eye on something. Obviously, a lot of emphasis will be on some of the prospects you've acquired
Right.
since last year's deadline, because you acquired guys for Lucas Giolito as well when you traded him away.
Yeah.
You traded away the reliever, what's his name, Joe Kelly.
Joe Kelly.
So you have those guys. You got the guys you just got. So there'll be a lot of farm watching, and then on the big league club, you'll see how Luis Robert does, you'll see how Eloy does, you'll see how Yoel Moncada does, you'll see how Andrew Vaughn does. Because
Yeah.
past that, now you have Michael Kopech going to the bullpen. I don't know if you guys saw that, but
Saw
that's
I
that.
official
did
Yeah.
see
now.
that.
Is Garrett Crochet going to be a starter? There's another question that you might have. So it's not going to be necessarily pretty for the Sox, but you got to watch what you can, and there are some storylines to follow here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
For sure.
just to put it out there for Luis Robert, he is under contract through 2027. He gets paid 12.5 million this year, 15 next year, and then 20 million in 26 and 27. So
Rick Hahn
So
gave him that sweet buyout contract before he made the big leagues.
yeah, and
yep,
that's why
yep,
I mean it's always amazing when I look at back at what Han did because he was able to pinpoint what went wrong with the Cubs rebuild and the fact that the Cubs weren't able to get extensions done early with any of their core. But then he also failed at what the Cubs did right in their rebuild is when their prospects reached a major level, the Cubs gave them that superstar free agent signing that the White Sox never did. I'm very curious to see what Getz is going to do. And to be honest with you, for as much jokes as we have at Getz's expense for bringing in former Royals, I actually don't hate what he's done so far.
I don't either.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it plays out, but
yeah. It hasn't been bad.
I think he might be on the right track with them.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that at the very least, he's on the right track in terms of philosophy. He seems to be favoring defense and pitching, which I think was seriously lacking. Fundamentals was seriously lacking.
Yeah.
Even if the guys he picks up for the major league roster are just kind of fill-ins this year, you see the philosophy is going, okay, Nicky Lopez, good defender. Paul DeYoung, historically good defender. I don't really know how much Martin Maldonado has left in the tank, but over his career, veteran catcher, he's been a very plus
Chicago
defender.
Cub legend.
Chicago Cub legend, yes. He played
Yeah.
for like 5 games on the north side in 2019.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the philosophy is there. And yeah, I think it's easy to jump on Getz. Obviously, you look at the sins of the past where the prospects didn't develop when he was part of the farm director, but I'm going to give him a chance here. I am going to give him a chance because I think he's got an interesting philosophy here.
Yeah.
And also keeping in mind that Jerry has him in his clutches. So there are things that are just out of his control that were out of control of Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams.
Yeah.
Because, Jordan, you just talked about how they didn't sign big free agents. Well, guess what? Who makes the budget? That's Jerry.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
who's
No,
the one
you're
that
right.
hired his old drunk buddy? That was Jerry
That was
to manage the
Jerry.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, just to put it out there too, Eloy, $13 million this year, $16.5 million next year, $18.5 million in 26, then free agent in 27. So if he has a big year, like if he has a big start this year, and then going into 25, like really is up there, what we expected him to be, it's another guy, you know. So
Honestly,
Or
not
you
that,
trade him.
yeah, my prediction is Eloy is going to be the biggest bet available at the trade deadline this summer.
yeah, and I mean I hate it for the White Sox because I've said a bajillion times in the last like 3 months, I feel like that if I had my preference, I would love to have two really
Oh,
good
yeah.
baseball teams in the city of Chicago.
Oh yeah,
Rarely
same.
works that way. Rarely
But
ever lines up.
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, like they got to tear it down and start over. Like
Oh
the
yeah,
Cubs
they
had to
had
do
to.
it.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to do it too. So Eloy and Luis are the best that they have, and especially if Luis is going to be on MVP level like he was last year, you gotta bank on that somewhere, you know, for the future. So
For sure.
Right.
And the one thing I will say about Chris Getz is we're talking about them tearing it down, right? Like this is
Mhm.
we see it happening. What's amazing is that they still don't they're not coming out and telling you what we all know. It's like they're like
Right.
they don't want to use the rebuild word. They're like, well, you know, we feel good about these players to make us better now. It's like, dude, let's be real here. You're
Yeah.
tearing it down. It's a rebuild. You can say it.
Yeah.
Fans would like you better if you are full front and honest than try to
right, yeah,
BS them.
100%.
yeah, yeah. And going back to when the Cubs broke it down in 2021, one of those guys that left was Javi Baez. Have you seen what he's doing this spring?
Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
My buddies and I were
I-
talking about it in a group text.
And
Woo!
it's just incredible how quick that fall off was. I was watching a clip of a swing where it was just a dribble back to the pitcher, and his mechanics are so out of whack. You talk about a player that needed to be in a specific spot. I think we're seeing it with Javi. I think he needed to be with the Cubs. He needed to be with Wrigley because that's where the magic happened. And we saw it briefly for the Mets. We haven't seen it with the Tigers, and I don't think we will. I think this is just who he is.
I
Yeah.
think personally, everybody knew that he was not going to age well. He was going to
Yeah.
peak early with the way
Yeah.
he plays, the free swinging, the high energy, and all the magic El Mago stuff. It just wasn't going to age well. He was going to
Right.
have that peak when he was
Yeah.
young, and then it was going to decline, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And when you see him swing now, sometimes he looks like one of those car lot like big like blow up guys that do that. Like it almost looks like that, and it's just this isn't like, oh, it's just spring training. He looks like he's just ramping up. Whatever, results don't matter. Like it
No,
looks off.
I
Very
will
off.
say,
Yeah. And it has for a
Though-
while.
yeah, there were a lot of things that were wrong with COVID in 2020. One thing that kind of gets forgotten is the Cubs were only a couple of days away from finalizing a contract extension with Baez before things shut down due to the pandemic. And in the alternate universe where that extension gets done,
Hyundai Santa Cruz
I would hate to be
versus
there.
Toyota
Sorry.
We
Do
have
you
our
hear
Oh,
first
you're good.
commercial.
I know, ad break.
that? I wish. No free ads.
No.
Yeah, that's whoever thought COVID would be a miracle, but here we are. Yeah, his fall off has been just remarkable. And if you think about all the guys that got traded there, like Chris Bryant, it pains me to say, but
That's
probably
really
good we
sad.
didn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
the
whole
Bryant
thing is
one
just
is
like
sad,
I
yeah.
don't like. I will spend time on it because I feel like it should have been. It could have been better. It should have been better, and it's no fault of his.
Right.
And it stinks. But
Those
Rizzo,
those nagging injuries have really piled up too. really
And
piled up.
you just I don't know. You just wonder, like, would it be different if he didn't have so much pressure on him? Like, I gotta be this guy.
Right.
The
I don't
injuries
know.
happen, and it really remember it was in Colorado, ironically enough, when he got hit in the head. What was that
Mhm.
in
Right.
2018.
2018? He got
2018.
hit in the
Yeah.
head in Colorado,
Yep.
and then it was just kind of weird for a while, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it just what people's perspective of him, it just really upsets me because I love Chris Bryant and he's such a good guy and he's such a
Oh
good
yeah.
baseball player. If you just let him play baseball and get out and like just let him
Right.
play baseball, and it's just
Yeah.
it is sad.
It is sad that because I don't think we're ever going to see the version of Chris Bryant that we saw when he was the
No.
college player of the year, the rookie of the year,
The
and then the
MVP.
MVP. I
Even the
don't think we're
following
seeing,
year.
and honestly, it's funny that Tommy mentioned about like getting blue in the face defending Chris Bryant because that's how I was in 2017 when everyone was like, "Oh, Chris Bryant, he's having a bad season." When statistically,
He
2017 was better than his MVP season.
Yeah. It's like
He
what
made
more do you want from
yeah,
him?
The
You
homers
put it
weren't as high, but the slash line was.
and that's the
Yeah,
thing. Like,
you put him on a billboard and say he's the second coming, and you expect
and
a World Series immediately. He gives it to you,
yeah, and that's the thing.
like,
Like,
and then you get upset because he gets hit in the head and he struggles for a little while. Like, just shut up.
that's the
Let him.
thing. He was
Ugh.
so talented that like when he played, it looked effortless because that's how good he was. And yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
sad. Yep.
yeah. I still
What?
get blue
Yeah.
in the face over it because I will fight for
Oh
Chris
yeah,
Bryant until I die.
for sure.
But
It's
yeah,
just,
but anyway,
it's just too bad. It's too
Yeah,
bad that even when he gets back on the field, he has to go immediately off because there's another injury. It's
right.
just,
right.
and
Yeah.
it's not me saying that I wish this version was still on the Cubs. I'll always love Chris Bryant,
Oh
but
yeah,
you know,
But the
you were
thing
gonna have
is,
to pay him a lot of money.
if he stayed with the Cubs, the pressure was right there the whole time. And
yeah.
so if he would have been miserable here. At
Yeah.
least in Colorado, he's close to his family in Vegas.
There's
Like
really
he's at a
yeah. There's
ballpark where he could hit a home run at will. Like if he gets everybody off his back, like just let
yeah.
him play baseball.
There's really only two players I wish stayed with the Cubs. One's in hindsight because one's Kyle Schwarber, but again, when the Cubs made the decision to non-tender Schwarber, they made the right decision for the type of player that Schwarber was at that time.
He was
His
struggling big time that year.
his offense was broken. He fixed his offense to the point where he's the best power hitter in the game. Sure, you have Aaron Judge in New York. No, it's Kyle Schwarber. So Schwarber was one. The other one was you, Darvish, because that was a trade that was made because of financial reasons.
Right.
The Cubs got lucky that Owen Casey emerged from that package as a blue chip prospect. And here's what's so funny about that trade. When we're talking about Dylan Cease, I pulled up like stories of that Yu Darvish trade. Owen Casey wasn't even mentioned in most articles as one of the players that the Cubs got, and now
And player to be
he's
named later.
yeah, and now he's the one that's kind of the prized prospect from that.
Well, I
Yeah.
remember when they got that trade done, the guy that I was kind of focused on was Reginald Preciado.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be kind of the blue chipper, but he's just completely fallen off a cliff, and you
Right.
barely hear about him at this point. But yeah, Owen Casey's turned out to be good, and yeah, that was the pure salary dump.
Yeah.
And I'm with you, Jordan. I do wish that um, Yu Darvish was still part of this rotation. And you said it perfectly with Kyle Schwarber. Hindsight, I would love to have those 40 home runs as a DH right now, but we also have to remember that at the time, he was really struggling in
Right.
2020. Like Robbie Gould, when he got cut from the Bears, he needed that kick in the pants. Openly admitted it. They both
Yeah.
openly
Mhm.
admitted when Chicago cut them, hey, I needed a wake up call. This was my
Yeah.
wake up call.
Yeah.
And then when they got
And
Jock Peterson, that seemed like good value as a replacement.
Yeah.
yeah,
No. Agreed.
and look what Jock Peterson turned into. Like he turned into it. Who do we get for Jock Peterson? Oh, Jesse Chavez and
No, we got wasn't it Bryce Ball, and then we
Yeah, I
released
was
him.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. All right, never mind.
We didn't. I was going to say that's.
So we
Yeah,
gave,
yeah.
we gave Atlanta
inconsequential.
we gave Atlanta a world championship.
Yeah.
So I'm going to claim
Young Jock.
Atlanta's world championship.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, and another thing too with like Schwarber and KB and all these guys, it was like a change of scenery thing too. Like kicking the
yeah.
pants, yes, but sometimes you just need to change up the vibes a little bit, change up where you are and figure it out. And I think that was really good for I don't think he really felt it in Washington, but when he went to Boston, he was kind of feeling himself a little bit. And then of
Oh,
course
yeah.
we see what he's doing in Philly.
Yep.
Philly's atmosphere and the way
It's
that
fun.
like the fans are, the team is there, like it's electric. So of course he fits in great there. So
Oh, yeah.
and then Rizzo in New York with that short porch just waiting for him.
And he's looking
Like,
good this
yeah.
spring. I'm so
Yeah, he
excited.
looks he looks really good.
He looks really good this spring. So glad after
last
the
year
Gotta
concussion
stay
scare.
healthy.
Concussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I'm
just
so
gotta-
glad after the concussion scare that he's kind of back looking like himself. So looking forward to seeing him with the Yankees this season.
Yeah. And I should say too, Chris Bryant here opening day. Javi
Yeah.
Baez back for the first time in August, and then Rizzo returning for the first time in September. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and I will be at all three. So
There you go.
if anybody would like to go. And that is that concludes our White Sox talk.
Right. Funny how it circled back to the Cubs.
Got a little
I don't know.
derailed there.
I don't know how that happened. That's crazy.
Whoops.
My bad.
Darn.
But it's time to talk about Alex's Blackhawks.
Yes.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
He was so close to that hat
He
trick.
was.
So
He
close.
was so close, but it
So
doesn't matter
close.
because he's on a tear right now. He's having multiple point game after multiple point game. And the Blackhawks, the last few games have been scoring goals at will. They lit up the Coyotes and then they lit it up again the other night. And Connor Bedard had another goal and a few assists against the Ducks. And I know those aren't high-powered teams by any means, but it's just nice to see them score. Bedard is making great passes, smart decisions with the puck, and his one-timer is just looking great. You heard him on the bench talking to Nick Foligno, how much he treasures Nick Foligno's leadership and mentorship, and you saw Peter Mrazek get into the scruff with the other goalie. So the last few games, you're seeing what I thought lacked from the team a little bit, and now is just some fight and passion. I just felt like the energy and the fight really dropped off with the Hawks over the past few months or whatever, but now that Bedard's going on this tear, I feel like the team is re-energized. And even if they go out and lose the next 10 games, if they go out there with that same fight and Bedard keeps doing what he's doing, that's really all you can ask for. It also is nice to get Andres Athanasiou back out there, just to have another veteran forward out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been watching the last couple games and it's been so much fun.
It has.
Yeah.
Connor Bedard, just when he was gone and he wasn't there for a while, it was like
No
what are we
reason to
doing?
watch.
Why are we
Oh, yeah.
watching this?
No reason.
It's
Zero.
just-
Hand up.
It's
Hand
just-
up. I did not watch. But
Yeah,
with
it
Bedard back,
changes everything. Now it's like it's must-see television. When
Yeah.
Bedard is on the ice, you have to watch and see what he's going to do. And
The
Same.
crowd's
it's
into
not-
it.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
crowds into it. It's nice to have that back, And it's like it's the Squidward gif of future.
Future.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
future's coming. I'm so ready for a good Hawks team. It's been
Me too.
Oh,
so
it's
long.
been
It's been
it's
so
been good.
long.
Yeah.
So
We get that spring again where the Cubs start off good and the Hawks are on a playoff run. I cannot wait for that year to happen. Yeah.
don't get me going.
2015, 2016, it was great. Especially
Yeah.
2015, because you had the rejuvenation of the Cubs in the third cup. Like that spring was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah. 2015 was awesome.
Yeah.
2016 when the Hawks got swept as the one seed.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
2017.
That was 2017. Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
no. Wait, no. It was 16.
No, 16, they lost to the Blues in 7. 17 is when they got swept by the Predators.
That's
in the
right.
first round.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you guys
that's
are the
right. I
hockey
got that-
guys, so I'll
I
trust
got
you
that-
guys.
Yeah. No, I got that screwed up because in 2016 when they lost to the Blues, I was
Heartbreaker in Game 7.
I was in Nashville
Mm.
wearing my Blackhawks jersey.
Ooh, yeah.
And
that
I thought
probably
people were
was-
gonna like be really mean to me, but I told them it was my birthday, and then they were really nice.
There you go.
Was
there you
it
go.
your birthday?
No, it was great.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, all right. Blackhawks must watch with Connor Bedard. The Bulls are doing that thing where they're gonna try to make the playoffs and then put us in misery.
And I'm falling for it because I was watching that game last night. I
Yeah.
saw DeMar DeRozan do his Kobe Bryant impression. I'm like, oh, this team has sucked me back in. And exactly what you said. They're going to probably be in the play-in. They might even do the same thing they did last year, win that first play-in game, and just completely fade out in the second one. But hey,
And the thing is, we know it's coming, but here we are.
yeah,
Because
know
when
it's
Kobe
coming.
White went down, I was ready to fight. I wanted a war.
yep,
I was
yep,
ready to
yep.
go.
That was such a satisfying win last night. Seeing
It
DeMar
was, yeah.
DeRozan score the 46, and then Ayo Dosunmu getting some big buckets. The overtime was great because the Bulls really took charge of that overtime. Even if it was a close battle in overtime, you felt like the Bulls truly had the control in that overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, just to get there, DeMar DeRozan had to make that ridiculous shot because after Kobe was blocked and he went down, the game looked like it was just flat out over right there. And then the miracle happened, and it sounds like the Kobe White injury isn't as bad as some people fear.
Yeah, it
That's
sounds
kinda
like
nice.
No, they said he should be back on Saturday.
So there you go.
He could be back on Saturday.
It sounds like the Bulls are very lucky with that, and it does sound like he should be only out a game or two.
Yeah, it's been weird, man. It's been weird. You have coaches getting choked by the other team. You have the game in Indiana last night, and just how clutch this team is. When it's down to the wire, they pull those games out. It's either they pull out a clutch game or they just get their asses blown out of the building.
Oh yeah.
Did the Mavericks just absolutely destroy?
Oh, they waxed them. That was the one this week that I I
when the
texted
Bulls
you guys.
came back home.
I texted you guys and I said I'm consciously going to watch the Bulls game tonight, and I watched them lose by 80.
Yeah, they've been more fun on the road than at home.
Yeah, and I will just say one PSA to the Bulls, to the coaches, to the front office: stop talking about Lonzo Ball. I mean,
they said that
we don't need updates. We don't need. He's running. He's doing basketball sprints. We don't need any of that.
It's gonna be so long,
right?
And it's blown out of proportion by the media. They're misrepresenting what Casey Johnson says.
Exactly. He's coming back from an injury that was more so done to get repaired to improve his way of life.
Yes.
Not to improve anything related to his basketball career.
Yep.
Stop talking about him. Stop focusing about him. Because truth be told, he's probably played his last game. Maybe of his career, but definitely as a Bull for sure.
Probably.
Well, that's what we gotta say. We gotta say that to set the expectations, you know? Because the expectation should be he's probably never going to play again.
Right.
And then when he comes back, it's crazy. So let's just
then we could have our Brandon Roy moment when he does. But for right now, we're good.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
All right. So we're all in on them making the play-in, winning the first game, and then getting waxed.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Truly. That's all I can say at the end. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Let's keep talking about the Bulls here. You have one extension you can give to one player on this team. Who is it going to be?
Kobe White.
That's what I would say too.
Kobe White, yeah.
So unanimous Kobe White.
Yeah, lock him up
Okay,
now.
not Ayo?
Yeah, who else?
Not Patrick?
No.
I love Ayo, but I would give it to
I would give it to Kobe. No, I think Kobe White is the clear favorite to
Kobe
to
White
there.
for sure.
Yeah.
Patrick Williams.
Patrick
eat so much crow with my dad because when that draft happened and they took Patrick Williams, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the right pick for the Bulls. I know you don't see it right now, but he's going to turn into that two-way player. And now my dad just calls every time Tyrese Halliburton has like a 30-point game for the Pacers. He's like, hey, man, remember when we could have had Halliburton, but we took Patrick Williams? I'm like, I got nothing.
Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah, it was supposed to be better. It was supposed to be. That's all I can say. It was supposed to be
that
better.
note.
Yeah, on that note. Boys, this was fun. I think it was successful.
Yeah. This was a good one. Yeah.
All right, so we'll do our normal predictions, and we can still name the podcast. I named the live stream, obviously, but we can still name the podcast. So whose turn is it? Alex, is it your turn?
I think so. Yes.
think so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So, let's go around with predictions, and then we'll name the podcast. We'll get the hell out of here. Jordan, what is your prediction for the next week?
I definitely leaned on the Justin Fields trade the past 2 weeks.
Also,
So-
if you're watching on YouTube and or Twitter and or Facebook, if you have a prediction to give
Comment.
out, please do.
I will say that Jordan Montgomery signs a 1-year deal with the Cubs.
No chance. No chance.
I hope more than ever that he does. So I could say, Tommy, I know you're happy, but
know.
suck it. Suck
Oh, yeah.
it.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I tell myself to suck it. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
want it. I want it bad.
The initial, yeah.
I probably wanted the worst of everybody.
The initial
You're going to look in the
tweet-
mirror
yeah.
and say, suck it.
The initial
will.
tweet I have, if that happens, it's gonna be a straight at Tommy. I told you.
Hell yeah, John. I love this energy. Bears
Oh,
trade
John.
first
Hi,
overall
John.
pick.
That's my
There you go,
college
John.
buddy right there. Hey, John.
Nice.
Close
There you
college
go.
buddy. We're in a group chat together, so we're always talking sports and other shenanigans.
There you go.
Bears trade the first overall pick. Hey, bold, but yeah, never know.
I would
You never
love
know.
it. I would
You never
love
know.
it. I'm gonna say Justin Fields. Well, wait. When's USC's pro day?
It will be a week from yesterday.
Okay, a week from yesterday. Okay,
So
yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
All right, great. So while we're taping the
Oh,
show,
live.
Bears trade Justin Fields to the New England Patriots
Ooh, like it.
Okay. All right.
for probably like a 6th round pick. I don't know.
Probably conditional yet.
All right, Alex.
I won't go 3 in a row with Bedard. I know that's a cheap way out. As much as
That
I
would
want,
be the hat trick.
I'm gonna say DeMar DeRozan has another 40-plus point game.
Let's go.
Say 50.
No, I want it to be somewhat realistic. At least
That's
40. It's got to be over 40, so 41 or higher.
All
Yeah.
right, but if it's over 50, we're not talking about it.
No.
Fine.
All right, what are we naming, Alex?
We are naming this A, we're live. A as in like Fonz. A, we're live.
Hey, let's go.
There we go.
There we go.
I would love.
like it, John.
I
There you
want.
go.
I want the Bedard hat trick.
All right, if Bedard gets a hat trick next week, we're coming back and saying "suck it" to Alex. That's
Okay.
what
There we
Okay.
go.
That's fine. That's great. That's great.
I hope
It would be
I hope
kind of funny if it happened after I said, "Nah, I won't predict it this time."
That would be funny. Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What are we naming the podcast?
A, we're live.
A, we're live.
A,
There
we're
we go.
live. AYE, like the Fonz. A, we're live.
A, okay. A.
There we go.
Yeah.
we're-
Yes.
all
There you go.
Correct.
You
You
got
got
it.
it. You got it. You got it.
Got it. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you watched
For
live,
sure.
thank you for the people that watched late. Next week's Wednesday, we're going back to Wednesday. Wednesday's
Oh,
our
yeah.
normal day. We're going to do Wednesday, 7 o'clock Central Time, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, everything. Come hang out with us. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next week.
Peace.
See ya.